Incident. He came back and shot. He shot him. When he came back, he shot, and he fell, stumbling, past the shadow wood, down, shot, dying, dead, to full halt. At the bottom, bleeding, shot dead. He died then, there, after the fall. The speeding bullet tore his face, and blood sprayed fine over the killer and the gray light. Pictures of the dead man are everywhere, and his spirit sucks up the light. But he died in darkness, darker than his soul, and everything tumbled blindly with him dying down the stairs. We have no word on the killer, except he came back from somewhere to do what he did and shot only once into his victim's stare and left him quickly when the blood ran out. We know the killer was skillful, quick, and silent, and that the victim probably knew him. Other than that, aside from the caked sourness of the dead man's expression and the cool surprise in the fixture of his hands and fingers, we know nothing.
Wow. Kamar, I got the chills. I mean, I've read that poem so many times. Your performance was extraordinary. It's really quite amazing. Let's start with Amber Rose. Give us some first thoughts, Amber Rose.
Something that did really strike me coming out of our conversation about the here and Bob Kaufman's work, I was thinking, I got stopped at he died then there, how that there kind of hangs after the comma before that next line. And I was also really feeling in Kamar's reading how the comma was kind of pushing us along in contrast to the full halt of some of these periods. And there's this temporal kind of back and forth that's happening with these like staccato, but also ongoing tumbling lines. Yeah, so maybe those are my two kind of opening thoughts.
Love those. Thank you, Ambrose. So let's turn to Lainey, and then we'll turn to Jordan, who needs a microphone.
I'm thinking about how we have some direct description, and then in the center of the poem, we have no word, and we end with we know nothing. So it seems to me there's a statement about what cannot be said, what cannot be explained, what cannot be made coherent, no matter what details that we have. Death, murder is not something that we can easily represent, or it's impossible.
So, Lainey, you would say that Baraka is implying that the highest or best project of poetry is to try to say things that can't be described. I guess that's fairly obvious, but why would that be an aim of a writer? We've got, humans have been writing for 4,000 or 5,000 years, and always the intention has been to try to do a good job of delivering the world through language. And this doesn't want to do that because it won't do justice to the incident. I mean, how strange that it really takes us to the 20th century to give up the semantic purpose. Why? Is it something about our times, or is it something about a belated realizations that humans have made about the kind of killing that's been done all along? These are big and rhetorical questions.
Yeah, but can you say the question? I'm losing the question.
Yeah, somewhere in there is a question about why. This is Baraka saying, we've gotten to the point now where the quality of our killing requires us to reinvent the language. I think, and we don't know, it's not clear if race is involved at all, which throws us off in this, but can we say, because we're champions of ModPo, that this is a better way at representing the kind of complicated life that we live, better than the past, which sought to pin it down to describe it well? Is this an advance forward? Is that part of Baraka's poetics here? Those are giant questions.
I'm not sure, but I feel like there's a very deliberate juxtaposition between a kind of transactional and descriptive language that we rely on and an insistence that that kind of language
Yeah.
actually tells us nothing.
And
we
the two
know
representatives of that kind of language are the newspaper reporters, crime reporters, and the police. And clearly neither is to be trusted.
nothing. Correct.
And you agree with that. That is to say, you're
Right.
persuaded by Baraka's poetics that that is the case,
And by the world.
and by the world.
Can I jump in on that?
Yes, please,
I was
Gabby.
just going to say, I think one way of also rephrasing what I think Lainey was just saying is like, this actually has a lot of language in it. It has a lot of stuff there, has a lot of material. And, it's hard to visually, like, you guys might not have it in front of you, but it's crafted in these little tiny kind of subclause blocks broken up by commas. And we get a lot of information.
Yes.
But I think what this poem is doing is like, by actually just giving you that information as it's packed into the scene, exposing how much is missing, it's kind of interested in like emphasizing an absence that maybe if you just had the police report version, we would not sense how much is missing from that because of all the, I don't know, the formal things that it's doing. But here we really get, there's something really loud about the missing details, whether it's the sort of humanity or the specificity of like who is who. It's just really ringing in this kind of intense way.
And it's not an accident that it's the very middle and the very end where we get just the three line, we have no word, and then
Yes.
we know nothing.
Yes. What is incidental? What is incidental in this situation, either in this killing that took place or in the poem about the killing? What role does incidentalness play, Gabby?
My answer would be that it can be repeated, that this could be reiterated in another sense. Like it's though we have a ton of information, it's not yet specific enough to only be one time, one exact pair of people involved. Like this can happen again in a way, and so it's one incident. Yeah, it can repeat, I think.
Love that. Thank you.
I'm thinking about how the word incident is, in a sense, generic, in that it's not a name, it's not a date, it's not a place. It could refer to anything of
Right.
positive or negative. It
Right.
doesn't.
It's even lesser.
It's flat.
Minimal. It's
Yeah.
incidentality. Sorry to make up a noun out of it, but incidentality is the very definition of modern life, which is that these kinds of things keep happening. It's among Baraka's most Steinian poems for that reason.